region of bone marrow contains maturing myeloid cells as well as erythroid islands, which play a role in proper erythroid development, as it's in these islands that erythroid cells proliferate, differentiate, and enucleate. The central zone is located near the central region of the marrow cavity. In this third and final region of bone marrow, we again find maturing myeloid cells and erythroid cells. Megakaryocytes and sinusoids are also found in the central zone of bone marrow. Okay, now let's look at the types of bone marrow that can be found in the medullary cavity. There are two types of bone marrow that are predominant in bones depending on the need for blood cell production. These are red bone marrow and yellow bone marrow. Red bone marrow, named for its reddish appearance and copious blood supply, is the primary site of hematopoiesis, or the production of blood cells. Red bone marrow is most abundant in infants and small children due to their large need for blood cell production as they grow. In adults that don't require such rapid cell production, red bone marrow is mostly restricted to flat bones, such as the sternum and pelvis, and in the epiphyses of long bones. Although there are some fat cells present, red bone marrow is mostly made up of red and white blood cells at various stages of development, and a network of supportive fibres. Let's take a look at some of these features. The hematopoietic cells reside in small clusters called hematopoietic cords. Hematopoietic cords are made up of developing blood cells supported by a network of branched reticular cells. Some mast cells and plasma cells may also be present among the reticular cells. Erythropoiesis, thrombopoiesis, and leukopoiesis occur here. A list of long words that might not mean that much to you. Let me explain. Erythropoiesis is the formation of red blood cells, thrombopoiesis is the formation of platelets, and leukopoiesis is the formation of white blood cells. Specifically, erythropoiesis occurs in erythroid islands, also known as erythroblastic islands. Here the precursors to red blood cells develop, proliferate, and lose their nuclei. These pink cells here are mature red blood cells, and the purple cells in the erythroid island are precursor cells that have not yet lost their nuclei. Along with the spongy bone trabeculae, hematopoietic cells have another supporting structure, reticular cells. In this micrograph, you can see the cells are adjacent to large adipocytes. Reticular cells produce a special kind of type 3 collagen fibre called reticular fibres. The reticular fibres look like small curved lines within the bone marrow. They are very tiny and it takes a powerful microscope to see them in detail. Reticular fibres intersperse within the connective tissue of bone marrow and form a network to support the cells. Now that we've talked about the regions and major structures of bone marrow, let's look at some of the cells found in it. Here we can see some erythrocytes. The word erythrocyte is the histological term for red blood cell. Let's take a closer look. In this micrograph, we can see erythrocytes at a higher magnification. They contain a protein called hemoglobin that has a high affinity for oxygen and gives erythrocytes their red colour. About 100 billion of these cells proliferate and differentiate within the red